Hey, this is Jeff Karras, your behavior guy. I am back. Today I want to talk about just teaching your child, teaching your student conflict resolution skills to really get them to hear and understand why somebody did what they did, said what they said, feel the way they feel, so they can understand that perspective, not necessarily to agree with it, but to understand it so they can move on and coexist and kind of resolve the conflict between them without having to resort to violence, name calling, just negative things directed towards that other person. Because unfortunately, our children and students are growing up in a society where they see many people on social media, especially, just going after people because they don't agree with what they say and saying these untrue things, believing all these things that aren't true because they're getting it from different places and not validating sources. And unfortunately, we have this problem where our children and students are seeing this modeled every day, where as soon as there's a disagreement or something someone says that we don't want to hear, we all of a sudden say, nope, that person, I'm not supporting them. I don't like them anymore. They're this, that, and the other. And we're starting to name call. And they see this in front of them daily. How do we combat that? Because it's absolutely absurd that we can't live with people that have different opinions, right? So let's think what we can do with our children and students to teach those skills. It has to be modeled. So parents, teachers, educators, we need to make sure we're aware of what we're doing, what we're putting in front of our children and students, but also anytime there's a disagreement or a conflict or a differing opinion, that is not a time to try to come to compromise and move on, right? That's a great teachable moment where we can sit down with that student, that child, and we can really say, hey, let's hear what they're coming from. Let's hear what they're thinking. Let's see why they're feeling that way, because then you might understand why they say those things or did those things. We don't have to agree with them, but understanding and having that conflict resolution discussion and that conversation is a huge step in getting that student or child to kind of tolerate those differing opinions and know how to exist in a world where they're going to be thrown at those things daily, right? So that way they can navigate them without having to resort to feeling disrespected or feeling that they need to get defensive. That's not what it's about. When there's two students or two children that are having a conflict, it's because they feel very strongly about what they feel. And when the other person can kind of listen to that and understand why they're feeling that, then it helps that student go, you know what? I didn't mean to make them feel that way. Here's what I was trying to do. And having that discussion, it brings a lot of realization to those students. So let's teach those skills. Hopefully we'll see some changes. All right, this is Jeff Karras, your behavior guy. I'll see you later.